Hi everyone. I didn't expect this crowd. Can I have a quick gauge? How many of you are non-Singaporean, not local? Hands up, hands up, hands up. Okay. So my talk was catered for locals, but I'll give a fair information on what the funeral trade in Singapore is about. Because when I joined the funeral trade 4 years ago, I was shocked. I haven't been to many funerals, and I wasn't very proud of it. I'll share why. Next. So, I joined the business 4 years ago with my wife. My wife's over there, Jenny. We joined because her dad is this guy. This guy. His name is Roland Tay, and he is quite a famous undertaker in Singapore because he does a lot of free pro bono work for people who are poor, people who are left alone and who die alone, and we provide them free funerals. So it's quite well known for that. I had no idea that's her dad when I was together with her. So the day when he had a heart attack in the hospital, that was the first time I met him, and she decided to quit her job to help him because work was too heavy. And I said, if you're going to quit to join him, why not I quit as well? Because after all, it's quite a male-dominated industry. Back in 2013, when we quit to join this business, the funeral trade is a very rough business, right? If you've been to the void decks in Singapore and look at the funerals around, they all look the same. Everything was just yellow, or there's a lot of smoke, a lot of joss sticks, but you don't see any differentiation between the funerals. That was our problem as well. Our funerals were like that. And I'll show you why. When you take over a legacy, there are a few challenges that you have to face. Can you see, sir? Okay, that'll work here. Can see? Okay, there are a few challenges to take when you take over a business legacy. The first being, it's a very taboo business. Who wants to be an undertaker? Who wants to join the death trade? Right? We all study or get lots of accolades and then, be an undertaker. I'll be honest, I didn't tell my own family that I joined the business until 6 months into the job. Because my family was also, you want to be an undertaker? Really? Because I have a master's in counseling. And I used to be a counselor. I did counseling professionally for 8 years. And to me, it's a very natural evolution of my business. You help people who are thinking of death. After that, you help people who actually die. Right, good business sense, right? Then after that, in the business, we have, what I mean by poor resources is that people didn't want to help our business back then. People think it's a taboo. You ask a design company, back then, right? Not now. Now maybe it's different. But then people actually turn you down. It's very funny. There was no human resource capital because the average age group of our workers back then was 50 to 60. When her father had a heart attack because business, there were some challenges, half the company left, and what were left behind were people who were, I think, I can count for you, 53-year-old, 56-year-old, 162-year-old, and two 52-year-old guys. And when I looked at them carry the coffin, I was thinking, my God, they're halfway there already. How do you continue a business like that? And we didn't have any resumes. You talk about resume, a job resume, people want to work for us every 2 months, maybe one, every 6 months. A proper candidate, every 6 months, maybe one. It's really, really hard to hire. And there was no focus on design, aesthetics, marketing processes. But then again, this is also a reflection of people, old businessmen and their thinking. And limited resources is financial resources. Because we took over a business that had challenges, we had quite a bit of financial challenges to start with. So I think it is in this kind of climate where creativity actually really shines. When you're really restricted by what you have, and you try and make the best out of it, that's when creativity can come out, if you really think about it. So I'll show you, when we first started, how things look like. This is, some of them are my workers, some are not my workers. But this is what an undertaker in Singapore looks like. The pallbearers. The typical uniform, I was really shocked, is a short sleeve shirt with black pants. Usually the shirt's white. And why it is so, most of them wear the same, because a lot of these people do not want to be tied down to one employer. They're all freelancers. So it's easier to move around, right? And they all like to have a nice cleavage. It was very common. I was so shocked. And not only that, in the pocket, is always a packet of cigarettes. So these people, they were not the more polished kind. I mean, they didn't finish school properly, some of them. And this is the only job they know. They know a lot of religious knowledge, which I respect them very much so. However, when it comes to customer service, it's a bit different. I had customers complaining to me, asking me, why is your guy smoking and talking to me? I could answer him. Because back then, this was the style. People all were like that. And if I were to tell them, can you please smoke like elsewhere or after work? Say what you want to do. Don't hire me. Find someone else. And because I have a very tight labor pool, I kind of have no choice. This is our website. Wow, check it out. By the way, this is a flash. Yeah. And the birds are all flapping their wings and all that. When I saw the website, I was like, my God, this website needs a lot of improvement. You can still find this website online, this version of the website online, because it's not hosted by me, and the guy who is hosting it refuses to take it down. If you've seen our current website, later I'll show you the current website. So I look, this is 2013. 2013, just Facebook and everything, there's lots of references to look for, but you have this. So, yeah. This is another paragraph of words. So basically, words and words. This was my name card. Yeah, I went to do, I expanded as well. And I did my LASIK, so I'm not wearing glasses anymore. But I'm going to show you the features of the businessman in the past, right? His emphasis, my father-in-law's emphasis was, his name, his Chinese name, must be super huge. Almost half the cut, it was his requirement. Next thing that must pop up to you in your eye, number. English name of the company, don't care. Look, where is it? Up here, maybe. But this is the Chinese name. Because back then, his customers were mainly Chinese-speaking customers. And they knew him by his Chinese name, Zhen Haichuan. So when people look, they say, oh, yeah, this guy, let's call this guy. Me and my wife, we really disagreed with this design. I mean, and for the Chinese people, when people pass away in a family, we have to wear mourning patches. So these patches are like rank. They show you how you're related to the deceased. There are colors. There's blue, there's brown, there's red. When I saw this card, it immediately reminds me of the patch that we Chinese people wear when somebody dies. We always wear this blue on a white t-shirt. And horrible. We actually tried to change the design once. But customer feedback, they like this one more. Turns out our customers are all uncles and aunties in the 60s. So they like bigger fonts and things that are clear to you. They don't care about design. So I was like, okay. So we stuck to this for a year or so before we changed to our current name card. So when we make the change in design in the company, there are these three walls were in our face. The very first one was the founder's mindset. The founder was my wife's father, Roland Tay, and he is 70 this year. So to change the mind of a 70-year-old guy takes a lot of time. And trust me, change didn't come overnight. For us to change, for instance, our uniform for our guys, took us 3 months to get design approved, 1 year for implementation. for us to change the name card, logo design. Wow. So you guys notice the funny logo up there, right? To change the logo took maybe 6 months of convincing him to make the change. The logo design is up within a week, but 6 months to convince the old guy. And surprisingly, the next wall of change is not just the founder. So founder can be shareholders or people invested in your company, right? Next one is your own team. We took 1 year to change our uniform because our team still preferred the white short sleeve shirt, the black pants, and that's the whole style. We couldn't make changes because we have tight labor pools, I mentioned, but we had to make changes. So eventually, I found a way around it, and we made the change after a year. But up to today, things that I want to implement is still resisted by the team. They'll say, oh, the customer doesn't like it, blah, 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 blah. Then I decided to do customer feedback directly with the customers. I got a new admin girl to directly call the customers, and I hear a different story altogether. So I'm trying to force them to change even now. And ourselves. Because it's our own limited thinking that prevents us from making changes. Sometimes the change that we want, we can't really see it until somebody pointed it out. And because it's kind of our baby, right? When people point something to you and say, you need to make a change, the first instinct is always to be defensive. Then you start to think. So we had to learn to take criticism, lower our guard, and then start to accept before we can start to change. So then we started to do designing, started to get people, work with, collaborators with people who are, of course, smarter than me, better aesthetics than me. And the first thing we did was our rebranding. Yay! So this logo, the story of this logo is about 20 years old. Why change a logo that's 20 years old? I mean, come on, that logo doesn't say anything. It's a globe and a bird. And in my business, it's very common for logos and companies to have birds, the dove especially. So I asked my father-in-law, Dad, how do you design this? How do you think of this logo? How do you get people to design this logo? I said, I must tell you this story. I was in Peninsula Plaza. He was walking around looking at ornaments, and one day he saw a plate. Those kind of plates that tourists buy to go home with Singapore around the edges. And in the center was this picture. So he said, that's a very nice picture. He bought the plate, he passed it to the designer then, they copied the whole thing, and it became his logo. I was like, what? So there's no linking of this to the brand? No? Oh, okay. So I said, if I change the logo, will you mind? Of course, it's my logo, I designed it. I was like, right. So eventually we got around and we convinced him to make a change, and this is our current logo. So the D for direct, and the boat inside, because Zhen Hai Chuan is name in Chinese, the English translation means a boat, a yacht actually. So we did a little boat inside, and we had one sail because the Chinese have a saying, 一帆风顺. Everything will be smooth, because we want the customers to know that things will be smooth with us. We chose the color blue because it's more calm, and yet it's not a very playful blue. It's a very firm and very secure blue. This was designed by an American Taiwanese, a friend of ours. Back then, he did us a favor because we had limited financial resources, but yeah, that's how we got this logo first. So after the logo was done, right, next thing we needed to change was our own team. How do we repackage the team? When we look at doctors, they always wear the lab coat and the stethoscope, right? When we look at nurses, it's always a nurse uniform. When we look at policemen, it's a police uniform. And the thing that when you see all these people in uniform, you immediately feel a sense of trust. If a doctor tells you McDonald's is good for you, you will start eating McDonald's because you trust the person. And that's what we needed in our business. Customers needed to trust us, needed to know that we are professional, and so we needed to change this. By the way, some of them are wearing sleepers here. So we went online, searched for some designs. I searched for gray shirt and black vest. First person that came up was David Beckham. And I looked at my guys, nah. But the color scheme was nice. So from this, we put it to design. We tried it out on some of our workers, and it actually looks quite nice. And it's now this today. So it looks grey and black. Of course, they're not all David Beckham body size, but at least it looks slimmer. For us to make this change, because back then we only had 5 workers, and they said, if you force this uniform onto me, I'm going to quit. I couldn't make the change. The first step we did was to make them wear shoes. That took us about 4 months. Please wear shoes. The customers are complaining. I had to resort to saying, fine, you don't want to wear shoes? You stay outside of the wake. I'll carry the thing in myself. You don't get, because in the Chinese custom, you have to give red packets as a sign of appreciation. I said, your red packet, I pass back to customer. Red packet. I changed, wear shoes. Then, tucking in and tucking out was a problem. Some of them had one leaf out, one leaf in. It's like, Again, repeat the same story to them. Look, please, I need you to dress properly. Well, you don't, you fire me. It's very common. So in my 6th month, I had 5 people then, right? I hired another 5 people more. No matter where they came from, I just hired people. The purpose was to make sure that my guys know that, I don't care whether you're here or not, I'm going to get someone else to replace you. And if the person doesn't know anything, I'll train the person myself. Then, when that happened, slowly they start to make changes, start tucking in, start behaving better. And eventually, by the 1-year mark, they were wearing my uniforms. Yay! Then, for website, this one, I have to thank a special person who's here in this room. I have to thank Arthur behind. He helped us with the initial design of this. So from this, lots of words, to see, much more modern look. But this was 1.5 years ago, right? 2 years ago or so. Yeah. So we started 2013. This website officially finished in 2014. That's how long it took us to convince our father. And so a wig in Singapore, if you haven't seen before, looks like that. This is for Buddhist wig. And this is in a void deck. When I first approached the idea, can I do something better? Because honestly, it looks very. I wouldn't want to walk through that, man. It's so scary. It looks like the gates of hell. But it is tradition. That's what my father-in-law told me. He says, you can't change this because this is tradition. And in the Chinese tradition, I learned after that, he couldn't explain it much to me. A lot of the older guys couldn't explain to me, so I had to do my research. In the Chinese tradition, when people pass away, they used to hold a funeral in their own family halls. So we all stayed in clans and villages, and we have giant family halls. A family hall is probably about this size or bigger. And in the hall, if you look at Chinese period dramas, there are always 3 doors. The center door, the side door. And this is represented by the side doors and the center door. And the hall is inside. So, with that idea in mind, we were a bit sneaky. We didn't tell our dad we changed the design. So, he didn't see anyway. So, we just tried it once. Our first design was like that. Don't mind this pillar's from HDB. So, it's there. So, if we put flowers, the same concept, a hall, right? So, the hall's behind, flowers in front. And we changed the color scheme, so it's more pleasant eyes. So, when we first tried this, the response was quite good. And my father-in-law came in, he was like, wow, what do you guys do? When he saw the customer smiling, he was like, he was at peace. Because for the older guys, they must see the customers happy. And when the customers are happy, they are more willing to accept it. Then version 3, version 1, version 2, version 3 came last year. I said to myself, if a wig area is a fixed square, it's actually 16 feet by 16 feet. What can I do with that small space? Can I do something different? I like to watch plays. I like to watch stage shows. And I think if they can make a universe on the stage, can I do the same for the small space that I have? So I approached some prop designers. I actually approached MediaCorp's main prop designer back then. And I got the set designers to design with me. We took about 4 months of design, of thinking, and we really think, how can I change the space area to make it more hospitable, make it more like home. Not like home, but feel more at home. So family members will feel less scared of the wake. Because honestly, in the past it was like this, right? We kids when we're young, we're very afraid of it. And if you're afraid of it, it's going to affect my business in the future. If your kids are afraid of a funeral, you won't be willing to talk to them about a funeral as well. If you don't talk to them about a funeral, people always shun the topic. And if people always shun the topic, in the long run, it's not good for us. We want to change that. We want to make people start to appreciate life more through death. So, this is the current design. Now, this is a HDB void deck. Yeah, I designed most of it. Thank you. So this is our VIP package right now. And when people saw it, the response was tremendous. When my father-in-law saw it, he was puzzled. No, why are people like this? He still liked the older design. But people liked it a lot more. And I liked it a lot more. I hope you like it as well. And after we rebranded ourselves, next thing we need to do is reinvent ourselves. If we do not reinvent ourselves and the funeral trade, we will forever be stuck like that. Right? This is 2013 when we first joined. Look, I'm in a short sleeve shirt too, but no cleavage. Yeah? That's my father-in-law. This is our showroom. If you're a customer and you go to a showroom like that, you're like, shit. So many choices, so cramped, and it just feels very dark and very stiffy. We finally got our showroom last year. That's 3 years after we joined. And we approached the topic differently. If people can go to malls and go do shopping, I mean, honestly, when you buy a coffin for a loved one, actually doing shopping, right? Can you do shopping in a more classy place, in a nicer looking place? And that's when we have this now. So this is our showroom now. This is a rotating platform. Inspired by those Audi, car shops and Mercedes, those showrooms, right? Because this is our showpiece, it's the Prometheus. The Prometheus is the same coffin that Michael Jackson used when he was buried. It's from America. So this one, and this one, they're from America. We actually have that's the pink one, right? We wanted to bring a Tiffany blue one, but we decided on the pink one instead. This is 24 karat gold plated. And the functions is amazing. As a perpetual MP3 player. I asked, what's a perpetual MP3 player? So apparently, in one of the knobs, you can actually put in a USB player. And when you bury the person, a little solar panel will be attached to the grave. And music will be played perpetually through a speaker inside. I was like, wow. I mean, that's like purgatory, isn't it? You just keep listening to the same music again and again and again. But yeah, some people like it, right? Then we changed our showroom. People come in, people are like, oh, this is the only showroom in the whole street. Because the street where we are is the only street in Singapore. There are 2 places in Singapore right now where you can put coffins. This is one of them. It's at Geylang Bahru. The other one is at Xingming. And to Singaporeans, to go to the street is very, very scary. But this is the only place in the whole area with white lights and nice chandelier and all that. Then we did to change our image. First thing we did was to change the way people talk about death. And we wanted to lead the talk. So we did our wedding photo. This is our wedding photo. That's me. I know I changed, but that's me. That's my wife, and this is one of our favorite coffins. When we took our wedding photos, we thought to ourselves, people take wedding photos in the places they like the most, their favorite holiday haunts and all that. But we wanted to do something about our life. And then we decided, death is our life. Actually, before I took this photo, this was 2015, July. In May 2015, there was an accident in America. The train accident from Amtrak, right? Yeah. And my family, my dad, my mom, my aunties, my uncles, 13 of them, all my aunties and uncles were in the first carriage. When the train derailed, the first carriage twisted in half. My uncle was beside the twist point. He survived with a stiff neck. My mom survived the whole accident with a bruise. I think how many people died? 2 people died or something. Yeah, people died in an accident. But my mom only had a bruised bump. My dad just bumped his hand and lost his handphone. Everyone else had neck dislocation, arm dislocation, and everything. My family is fine. When you are at the verge of losing your parents both at the same time, you start to think very deeply about death. And in the past, even as Undertaker, I didn't like to talk much about death. But after that incident, I started embracing death even more now. Because through death, you start to appreciate life a lot more. You start to appreciate the people around you a lot more. And we wanted to share this with people. Because of the incident, we decided that was a catalyst. Jenny said, why not let's take our wedding photos in a coffin? I was a bit taken aback, but she said, I'm going to do it Vogue style. So, yeah. This was the one that made Straits Times cover. After I took this photo, it went viral. BBC interviewed Jenny. I tell you, when we were being interviewed, it's so funny because we were sitting down. Beside us was this gentleman wearing a suit, tie. He said, I started talking to him, what are you here for? He said, I'm going to talk about the economy and all that. What are you here for? We're here to talk about wedding photos. Next thing we do, when you talk about death, people will say, it's very sad and all that. But kids actually don't really understand much about death. I've seen kids play tag or police and thieves around the coffin area. The hardest question for a kid to ask a parent, and for a parent to reply to a kid is, where is grandpa going or where is mom going? Because parents will say they're going away. And this happened for the very first funeral that I conducted for a very good friend. His nephew asked him, Uncle, where is grandpa going? Because everyone says grandpa going away, but grandpa's still in the box. Then my friend, who's a very bad, this doesn't explain things very well. He said, grandpa's going to this place in Singapore called Mandai, where his box and him will go into this small, tiny oven, and he will burn, and he'll go to heaven. So the kid was, He took out his Playmobil set and made a little oven and started roasting grandpa. So we saw it and was like, there must be a better way to explain death to a kid. Right? It took us, me and my co-writer, 2 years to think of how do we explain this properly. Because in Singapore, we're multiracial, multicultural. And there are, I think, 4 different heavens, maybe more. There are 8 major religions. So 8 heavens, 8 versions of heaven, right? You can't offend any of them. So we did this. There was a story. I'm going to pass all of you a book later, so remember, take it from me. I brought all of you a copy. It shares a story of the grandpa is going to somewhere where he couldn't go when he was around. Somewhere magical, somewhere more beautiful. And although you may miss him, just know that he's in a far, far away place, enjoying himself. Yes, just like that. Very simple story, but it takes the kid on a journey so he can imagine. So right now in all the wakes, I am giving out this book for free. Because I actually tried to get it published, but then the publisher said, you know what, your book's too thin. I was like, okay, thank you very much, I'll do it myself then. So I got my own ISBN number, I got one of my... So Direct Life Foundation, the foundation that we started, I used that. I registered as publishing firm. And I printed my own books and I just gave out free. Yeah, I just gave out free, I don't care. Because to me, this message is more important than to earn from this. We also start to change the way we process our wakes, the way we change our customer experience. In the past, the focus of our wakes was very much on execution. That's like my father-in-law's mentality. Number, big, big, name, big, big, everything in your face, just for execution, right? Today, it's a lot about customer experience, customer process. A very simple example is when you go to a Buddhist wake, you only hear the Buddhist machine, goes the chant, right? And I thought to myself, the chant is for the deceased, not so much for the living, right? So why not put a separate speaker and play classical music inside? So I have a curated list of classical music for the guest area. Or the speaker, because it's Bluetooth, you can Spotify your beloved's favorite playlist. So we actually had a Lionel Richie funeral. They keep playing Lionel Richie songs. And if you know Lionel Richie songs, they are kind of a drag, right? But the deceased favorite song. So by the end of the 5 days, the family came to us and said, if I ever hear Lionel Richie ever again, I'm going to call you straight away. I'm going to end up in the box. Then we also started doing photo collages. Because in Singapore, funeral is very, just come and go, very quick. We wanted people to get in touch more with the family members and to know who the person who passed away is. Most times you don't know. We only know the relative. So we start putting photo walls. We can put photos. And also over here, it's a TV screen where they screen all the Facebook pictures. It's kind of like Facebook has this function where you can see a year in summary, right? The same thing, a life in summary. And today we're testing out our new service. It's complimentary, where you see on the table. This thing is a story, a very short story of the deceased. We want people to go through wakes and talk more about the life of a person instead of the first question you ask, how did she die? It's awkward at a wake, you don't know what to ask. So this little story of the person will help you understand more about the person so you can get in touch more with the person's hobbies, ask better questions instead of how did the person die. We also changed the way we lay out our tables. In the past, peanuts, sweets, and watermelon seeds were always in a white paper plate. We changed this to a plastic container with different containers. I tell you, this change itself rocked the industry. Yeah, I was so shocked when people said, why are you using that? I was like, huh? Why? It's just a different form of container, right? And 1 year later, we see everyone start doing that as well. Then we started putting table flowers. Wow, it so rocked the industry. I was like, what the hell, man, these guys. So people want to cut costs, right? But to me, this flower is not much, right? I have a flower shop. I own a flower shop, so it's easy for us. And the flowers are special because they were actually assembled by Cerebral Palsy Association of Singapore. They helped to assemble the main part of it. Because back then when we first started, I wanted to give them more work because they had a workshop. And they help people to do things like, for instance, the pen nibs, it's all hand screwed. So pass to them and they'll do it for you. And I told them I want to do flowers, I want to do funeral gifts, like wedding gifts with funeral gifts as well. Right? And he wanted to charge me 1 cent for one bunch. I was like, no way, guys. Charge me at least 10 or maybe 20 cents for one. And they say, yeah, okay, we do that. Because it's a non-profit organization. So if you have any manual needs, right, go to them. They can help you do that. They're quite skilled at it, right? And tissue paper with our branding behind. So this layout change actually made differences to our wakes. In fact, the flowers make the biggest difference. When our wakes had flowers on the tables, the customer says, wow, you have flowers on the tables. Then referrals. We have lots of referrals because of that. So we were very shocked how small changes, and it changes to us is actually common sense changes, but to these people it was not. Made such a big difference. The results of all these changes are like this. In 2013, the focus was for funeral execution. Today it's on hospitality. We always tell people that we are not from the funeral industry, we're from the hospitality industry, because we have to care for our customers. Then back then we only had one funeral package. I mean, if you go to weddings, there are at least 3 wedding packages, right? So, same idea. Come on, weddings and funeral, the same people go to the same event. It's just short one person, right? So, now we have 5 packages. Then our staff strength grew from 5 to 65. This was largely because I took in a lot of things. Back then I couldn't change a lot of design, because a lot of the design was done by our vendors and all. So my wife and I, we decided, you know what, if these people don't want to change, let's make the change. We let them go, we canceled the contract, we started everything to do ourselves. And so now we have a florist team. My florist team do weddings as well. But it's a different brand name, just in case. Yeah, 4 weddings and a funeral. Actually, it's 4 funerals and 1 wedding. And our staff strength changed from, back then it was 40 to 60, today it's 20 to 40. So in the past, I had maybe 1 resume in 6 months. Today I have 1 resume in every 2-3 days. Now I have a new problem. My new problem is My resumes are all overqualified now. In the past, it was hard to get people who at least have some qualifications. Today, I'm getting people with master's degrees and all that. I was like, what? Because honestly, my job is a more people-centric job. And when these people with MBA come in, I have no idea where to put them. But some people still come in because our job is a very much for the community kind of job. You are serving people, using your heart to lead. And when they come in, they actually show the passion. Today, my staff, we have degree holders. In the past, the only degree holder was me and Jenny. Today, I think usually 20% of them have degrees. And they don't mind the pay. To them, it's about serving the community. It's about making a difference. Because that's what we do. To help people in the darkest time, to show support, and to lead them into the light. Right? So customers have doubled from 2013 to 2017. And also customer style has changed, profile has changed altogether. So, yeah. That's all for my talk. It's a very simple talk, but it's to share with you how design actually makes such a big difference to my life. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Darren. It's a very interesting look at reinventing the experience of death. So I know there will be some questions. Anyone have any questions for Darren? And yes, for the books as well. Thank you for that. So we've got Where Did Grandpa Go? Which each of you will be able to get a copy of that, which I'm interested to read. Any questions? Can I get you to stand up here, sorry, and ask the question?
Yeah, sure. Hey, hi. I've got
And introduce yourself.
I have 4 questions. You can pick whichever one to answer, and we can talk about the rest of the topic. Number 1, do you also do funerals for the non-religious, and how has that experience been any different? Number 2, I wanted you to elaborate a little bit on how hiring more people helped you to change people's mentality, because I think I didn't really quite get the link over there. And I can't remember what number 3 was, but I will talk to you about that later.
Okay, I'll answer both of them because for religion-wise, right? In Singapore, major religion is Buddhism, Taoism, Catholics, Christians. And there's free thinkers as well. When we first came in, Buddhist people had monks to come and chant. There's a chanting machine as well. The Christians and the Catholics had pastors and the priests come in to pray and give sermon. There's music and all. Free thinkers, unfortunately, have nobody. So it's just a coffin and dead silence. I had to make a change, man. It was really, really tough. Because I'm a free thinker, but I grew up Catholic and I studied Buddhism, but yeah, I believe in God, right? I just don't go to church. But I wanted to for free thinkers, I want to give them something different. So I started doing eulogies. And I started teaching my guys to do eulogies. Because in Singapore, the Chinese people here are very, very, very shy. We don't like to talk. Ask them to ask questions, nobody asks questions. Right? It's very common. So imagine at a wake. Anyone talk about that? No. It's very common. So what we do, I'll go down, just on the story you saw, the story of the person, right? That's actually the eulogy script, in brief. Then I'll share the person's lives. On behalf of the family members, I'll talk about the person and anything they want to say to them, but they can't say themselves, I'll speak on their behalf. I'm trying to do this more regular to scale this up, because to do eulogy, you need to have some skill to deliver. So I'm training my guys to do so now. I have 4 professional MCs with me in my team. One of the processes I changed for my industry is, in the past, only VIP funerals had MCs to deliver eulogy or to conduct the funeral. Today, no matter what package you get, no matter is it the economic one or the VIP one, you will always get an MC to deliver eulogy for you, to give you the proper service you deserve. Because to me, that's a proper funeral. And that one change actually really rocked the industry. People really wanted to get MCs. And because, in Taiwan, there's a school that provides you a degree in death. And they come out, they become MCs, become funeral directors. So Two of my guys are one is from Taiwan, one is from China. They both have degrees in deaf. Yeah. Then your next question was hiring people. So this also applies to you guys who run your own business, right? Staffing in Singapore is terrible. Agreed? And if you have people behind, some of them are good, some are bad, but usually the rotten ones will actually affect everybody. And if it's difficult to hire, the first thing you need to let them know is they are indispensable. They're not indispensable. They're not, without them you die. Because actually our monk taught this to us, right? Our monk used to be HR guy of his company. He said, if your company have to rely on one person and that person falls sick one day, you can't survive. Just close down the company. It's not business. No point running. So I started to hire a lot more people. From 5 became 7, became 8. At first it was at 6. The first person came in, the people bullied him. The second one that came in, they bullied both of them. The third one that they came in, they realized something is different. The fourth one that came in, they start to worry. When the fifth one came in, they start to behave because they know that I have excess of 5 manpower right now. I don't need the 5 before. So it is financially a bit more difficult, but it's worth a lot of your time if you do it because it's short-term pain for long-term gain. All those who left eventually, I'm very glad they left. Because those that survived are the good ones, and today they're still with us. Yeah. I hope that helps you. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay, I have a question. So, I always like to rethink how you experience death. In my job as a counselor in the past, the very first session, we always ask our clients, if today were your funeral, what would people talk about you? People start to reflect about life, to think. And using this reflection, that's where I always find direction in my counseling. So now as a funeral director, I have access to better tools and equipment. In the past, it's just my room and a couch, right? My counseling room and a couch. Now I have coffins to use. If I actually conducted a workshop where people start to reflect, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be suicidal. In South Korea, they do this for suicidal people, right? If I do this to let you reflect about how you are at a current point in life, where you are, your loved ones, you start to think about your relationships, your parents, your brothers and sisters, even your loved ones, and you start to realize that, there are things that you want to say but can't say. There are things that you want to do in life but you can't do because of current limitations. And there are certain internal stigmas, internal walls that you have to break down to make changes. If I were to conduct a workshop like that, it's a guided workshop, would you be interested to participate? Can I have a show of hands of? Yeah.
Well, here with us today, you have someone who runs a hospice and someone who runs Dialogue with Time and Dialogue with Death. So I think those are the kind of things that we wanted to hear, that how can we retrain people to understand death better? Not only because by understanding death you live better, but also by understanding death you deal with your emergency situation better, and you can opt for treatment in a much more aware and rational way. You don't just hand over your power to a doctor. So we would love to talk to you about this later.
Nice.
I don't really need, but we use eulogies for programs that we run. So usually when people are going through pivotal moments in their lives, it's especially career change, right? And these sort of things, and writing a eulogy helps them to really, like you're saying, reflect on, okay, if this is the decision that I'm choosing, where it's like money or my heart, right? The writing a eulogy really does help them to uncover a lot of the deeper desires and things that they would like to do, because you just don't know when, things will happen, right? And it does allow you to start moving forward and appreciating your life a lot more. So I would suggest, if he's offering a workshop, you should definitely do that. It's very helpful.
What? Yeah, we go.
So this is the creator of Dialogue in the Dark for 22 years.
So
He's here to launch Dialogue with Time today at 10:30 at Science Center. And so, Science Center at 10:30. And so, but this is exactly what we do. And the immersive experience will actually bring out how Dialogue with Time actually allows you to figure out when you're 80 years old, what are the difficulties that you go through? And that allows you to basically then have more compassion. And Dialogue with in the Dark, initially 22 years ago, I'm speaking for you, basically allows people to understand what does it feel like to be blind? Because in that immersive experience, the blind people will guide you through the darkness. So I think death is the same thing. You know, if you can actually allow people to immerse in, one of the most powerful things is when you're in a coffin looking up and saying, who's going to be there for me? And what would they think of me?
Nice. Questions? See, Singaporeans. Sorry, it's a bit far.
Hello, my name is Ling Ling. Thank you very much for your talk. I've personally experienced death very closely this year. But what I'm more interested in is your approach to your father-in-law about changing his mind. So I'd like to know what kind of tactics you have used. So if there's someone whose mind I'd like to change, perhaps I could try that as well.
Okay, the first tactic you have to do is customer research. You need data. All right, so we have a very comprehensive customer feedback form and proper data and pie charts. They like to see pie charts and graphical charts. Then they, yeah, that's step one. Step two, that's what we did for the wake setup. We made changes secretly. Yeah, so when people see, they wish, oh, then people smile at them, but, oh, you know, actually it's fine. And step three, which is the most important one, do not approach him directly. So, you see, there are two of us, right? So, it's the holy triangle. When I want to tell him something, she will tell him for me. When she wants to tell him something, I will tell it for her. So it goes, so it's not directly, because if you go directly, he'll be very defensive. You go indirectly, he'll think about it, and then she starts approaching the topic.
So it's more like prepping your father-in-law?
Expectations. Yeah. Yeah. It's laying very, very measured expectations.
Thank you.
Question behind.
Yeah, I think I was wondering about how hard or easy it was for you to approach people to work with you, like in terms of designing your processes and stuff. Was it like you had to convince them, or you had to put in a whole lot of effort to talk them into doing it?
My father-in-law's people helping him, they're not very friendly. Then I approached my friends. So my friends are my age, so they're pretty cool, like Arthur. So they're okay, sure, straight up. So it's easier for me, but I know that my father-in-law had struggles back then. He approached design houses and said, you know, this is not something you want to do, because when other clients see them doing that, they are very wary of that. You know, when we first joined, there was actually people, my peers, who were not invited to weddings simply because of the stigma of death. Today, in 3 years, a lot has changed, surprisingly, but that's rightfully so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.